Namaste. Hope you're doing well wherever you're listening to this podcast around the world. We are currently in Hyderabad, India, here for a wedding celebration, and we're excited to take part in that here shortly. Today, we're going to talk about Southeast Asia, though, and why we love it so much and run through it. We spent a lot of time in Southeast Asia, and we're going to give you the details on why we really enjoy that part of the world. Again, this is Matt and Nikki Javik. We're a traveling couple who have been traveling full-time now for 2 years, and we are documenting our journey on this podcast and our website, passportjoy.com, to help you have better travels wherever you might be heading, whether it's a weekend getaway, a week-long vacation, or if you're planning to do something like we're doing currently and travel long-term. Hopefully we give you the tips you need to make that an effective and fun journey. You can find all the show notes from this episode and all the episodes at passportjoy.com under the podcast tab. Or if you're trying to figure out who we are and you're just getting caught up on us, go to the Journey So Far tab on the website as well. And that'll give you the rundown of all the locations we've been to month by month and country by country. If you want to check out the World Barber Shop Adventures, this is the YouTube series that we're doing where I'm in barber chairs around the world and we document that, but there's also the visual aspect of the culture that we're experiencing, and we add some comments and the perspective on why we love it so much and the things that we're going through. They're usually about 15 to 20 minutes long, and luckily the reception's been really good so far and continues to grow. And the Da Nang, Vietnam video just hit, and that's the one, that's the most recent one. So check that out if you have the time. And I appreciate all the feedback that we've been getting on that. It's been a lot of fun to do. If you want to looking for ways to support us, go to passportjoy.com/partners. This is our partners page. These are all the companies that we use along the journey to keep our costs down and just to make our travels a lot easier. And then for today, the one I'm going to highlight is called Udemy. It's actually a website where you can take courses to learn new things. I've used it to use the Super Learner course. It's basically for speed reading and memorization. And it's an awesome course. And I got it for a discounted rate. And so you can go on there and you can learn anything you want. Udemy, Udemy. It's a great way to expand yourself and find courses for $10 in some cases. So check that out. Go to passportjoy.com/partners for all the companies that we use. As always, please subscribe, rate, and review if you have the time. This really helps Nikki and I get in front of new traveler listeners. And we appreciate all the feedback we get. And if you have time to do that, please do that on any platform, really. But Apple Podcasts is the best one that it helps us rank. But that would be great. And if you want to receive a brief weekly email of our adventures as we travel around the world and we share highlights, both on the things that we're going through and anything travel related that we find, sign up at passportjoy.com. Basically, just put in your email address, hit the go button, and you'll get those emails every Thursday as we travel the world. All right, well, let's get into this episode. Okay, people have asked us why we spent so much time in Southeast Asia, and there's a ton of reasons we really enjoyed. But essentially, we spent 7 months within our 27 months of travel, 24 months currently, but 27 months overall in those countries, Cambodia, Thailand, Malaysia, Indonesia, Vietnam, and Singapore. And we still haven't visited the Philippines or Laos, and those are on our list. And there's a few other places that are considered Southeast Asia, but as far as countries go, those are the ones that we focused on and we had a time to spend in. So here, we're going to jump through a list. Southeast Asia is really high on a lot of travelers' lists for many of the reasons that we're going to describe. And it's as we go through it, these are reasons why you should consider it as well as you might make any travel plans. So first and foremost, the people. All about one location on our journey in Southeast Asia, the people have been amazingly welcoming and inviting, great hospitality, just warm. And I guess as examples, I mean, the Thai people are just so much fun. And I know that they've had hospitality there for much longer than probably other parts of Southeast Asia, but it's just a fun culture. And it's not that it's necessarily, I know it gets a bad rap for being kind of like that party culture and some of the seedy nightlife, but overall, it's just the people are just entertaining, and whether you're on the back of a scooter and a tuk-tuk, or they're just a lot of fun to be around from our times in Bangkok and Pattaya and Koh Samet, and even our times before this journey in Chiang Mai and Phuket and places like that. So I guess one of the things that sticks out for me as far as the kindness of the people is my friend Hao in Vietnam, and just the way he took us in and took us out really to Vietnamese restaurants. And when we were in Da Nang, Vietnam, and I met him on the first trip. We actually met in Saigon about a year ago, and then we stayed in touch over that time. And then when we came back and visited Da Nang again, he took us out and treated us like great friends. And he was teaching us the culture and just showing us the way of life in Vietnam, and helping us learn better what the people there were doing. So that was really cool, and just opening. And really the people in Vietnam, especially when my brother and I were just driving around to the different streets on our scooters, and people would come out of the streets. And it was around Tet. So I know that from what we know, Tet is more of a welcoming, because it's more of like a good luck thing to start the year, but still it's so inviting because, like I've said before, I'm 6'6". I'm a big guy. My brother's a really big guy. And so to be able to invite two bigger people into your home without any questions asked, and that's what they were doing. They were bringing us in to have drinks and food, and basically using Google Translate to have conversations. The people were just so amazing, and that's really how it was in all those countries. Just extremely welcoming and inviting people. The next is the food. We love the food. Unbelievable food options. Each country has its own unique offering. A lot of fresh vegetables, exotic foods like the roaches and the crickets I ate in Cambodia. But for me, probably for Nikki as well, Bali sticks out as the best, with a ton of vegan options and vegetarian options. But they also had great local Indonesian food as well, with chicken and other things that I ate as far as meats go. But it's so fun and to eat out in Bali because they have multicultural cuisines available, but like I described, the fresh eats with the vegan food and the vegetarian food were unbelievable, and it's super cheap, and their hospitality as well is really good, so they know how to cater when you go in. So that's the food in Southeast Asia is amazing, and the cool thing is each place has a different type of cuisine. If you like Thai food, a lot of it is spicy, so if you don't like spice, then you'll have to make sure that you let them be aware of that, because spice is heavier in this part of the world. But overall, the different places have their own different food focuses, and it's amazing, and that's why we love it. And the next on the list is the scooter lifestyle. Motorbikes dominate the roads in Southeast Asia. And for short trips, it's the fastest way to navigate traffic, because a lot of times the cars will be backed up, but the motorbikes can just go right around all the traffic, and it gets you places quicker if you're just traveling in the city. And my brother had a chance to witness this when he visited us for 9 days in Vietnam, and we scooted around all over the place to see the sights, or we went out into the countryside and just rolling through the streets of Da Nang just to look for markets and places to eat. So the scooter lifestyle is a ton of fun. Obviously, you got to be careful, wear a helmet, do the right thing, and even if you're on the back of the scooter, if you're behind one of the drivers that you're taking locally, just be smart about it. But it is a fun way to see the cities and the places you're visiting, because the wind hits your face. You get all the sensories that are going on around you with all the different noises, the smells, and everything that's going on in the town. So it's just an awesome lifestyle. I wish America adopted a more scooter friendly lifestyle, because it is so much fun and it's easy. But I get it, because the way that the weather is sometimes in the States, it might not be as adaptable, but it's definitely a lot of fun. The next reason that we love Southeast Asia so much is the cost and the budget-friendly atmosphere. Everything is pretty super cheap. The US dollar goes a long way in Southeast Asia right now. And outside of Singapore, most of the places in Southeast Asia are extremely affordable. We rarely spend over $25 for a private accommodation. That's like our own spot. to stay. That's not even shared living. And it was awesome. And some of the places were really nice with kitchens, awesome showers, great bathrooms, all the standards you'd be used to in the Western world. And it was amazing. And Grab, that's the app you want to use. They don't have Uber in Southeast Asia. Uber sold their business to Grab, but Grab is amazing. And there's like in some cities, you can get a Grab in like 2 minutes on the app, and it's super cheap. And even taxis that we've taken in some of the places in some of the countries were cheap as well, and safe, and I guess extremely reliable. And as long as you know where you're going and you can work through that communication gap, because that's what's really cool about using apps like Grab, is it tells the location that you're going, so you don't have to worry about that communication. But if you can work through the communication with the taxi driver, we found those to be affordable and a lot of not a bad way to get around as well. Food, like I described earlier, is very cheap, and you can get by about $10 a day for meals. And then going out can be cheap, whether it's the dollar beers in places like Vietnam and Cambodia, or just going out in general for drinks or what have you, can be a lot of fun. And then if you're taking advantage of the markets for like fresh vegetables, or the supermarkets for all your goods, it can make it extremely cheap and a great way to save money if you're going that route. And then for fun stuff like massages or spa treatments or whatever you're looking for, haircuts, you can get a massage. We got massages in Cambodia for $6. So, and that's 60 minutes. In Bali too, you can get a lot of places for at least $10 or less. So if you like things like that, and then there's a lot of beaches in Southeast Asia, and that's probably why we love it so much as well. But with the beach time is free. So that's neat.
Just for the beaches though, like in Thailand, you have beautiful beaches in Koh Samet and Phuket. Indonesia, you have places like in Bali, like Seminyak Beach, and you can take some day trips and go to Nusa Dua or Nusa Penida like we did. And in Vietnam, it's all over the country. So you have Mai Kea Beach, which is like a beach that's 67 kilometers long, and in Da Nang. You have Long Beach in Phu Quoc, places like Nha Trang, and Hoi An and Quy Nhon have beaches too. So all over Vietnam, you can find just beautiful, beautiful, pristine, white, sandy beaches. And in Southeast Asia in general, outside of the rainy season, which is only about a couple of months per year for these countries, the weather permits beach time basically year round. So it's phenomenal weather, and you can lay out pretty much, 9 or 10 months out of the year. So it's great.
Yeah. And then, tech friendly is another great reason that we would love Southeast Asia, because Wi-Fi is readily available at every hotel and Airbnb and cafes. And the Wi-Fi can be, some places it's unbelievably fast with downloads and uploads. It can be great. So and cheap. So you can just purchase a SIM card for low cost. We get it super, super cheap internet access. And so it's, cause we've visited other countries around the world that it sucked, really, to be honest with you. And to be able to go to Southeast Asia, and that's why what was neat is we met a lot of digital nomads, if you will, that were either teaching English to Chinese kids or just doing their jobs in coffee shops or their home because of the Wi-Fi. It's so reliable. So that's really cool. And that's great, because if you're doing some long-term travel, then you can always do the FaceTime with your family and stuff like that, or get in touch with them. The time difference can be a burden there, but for the most part, as long as you have great Wi-Fi, you can get your jobs done, everything like that. The other cool thing is the how easy it is to get to the different cultures, because all these locations are about only a 3-hour flight away from each other. You can get a lot of short, cheap flights that can take you to a whole new culture really quickly. So if you spend a week in Bali and then you want to go up to Cambodia, you're going to get 2 totally different experiences between those locations. Or if you spend some time in Vietnam and then you go to Singapore, it's extremely different. So, because if you're like us and you love markets, like we went to the Bukit Bintang market in Kuala Lumpur, and it was way different from the markets that we saw in Phnom Penh when we were there for the water festival. And then the time that we spent in the heart of Phu Quoc Island, that was a different market. So all these places just have their own different vibe, and they're all close, within 2 to 3 hours from each other. But not like if you were to travel in America 2 or 3 hours, you might get, if you went from the Chicago to Kansas City, it's different, but it's not as different as what you might experience in Southeast Asia. And then you got sites too, like if you're going to want to go to Angkor Wat and Siem Reap, that's a must-see location. And then obviously all the temples in Bangkok, or the islands in Koh Phi Phi or Koh Phi Phi, however you want to say it, and in Thailand, because those rocks coming out of the ocean are extremely different from anything you'll see anywhere in the world. If you ever watched the movie Beach, is it called The Beach? The Beach by Leonardo DiCaprio, with Leonardo DiCaprio. So if you had a chance to see that, then that's what you'll see there. And so you have all these different things that you want to see, and it's just, they're all amazingly different.
Yeah, so for me, I think Southeast Asia is really cool in the fact that people are really open to talking about their belief system, or their ways of belief, so to speak. And I've just found a lot of new knowledge in the belief systems that have really shifted my perspective from what I used to know. And I've learned a lot more about just the healing power of meditating, and just learning more about Buddhism in general. And I'm just really thankful for the fact that people, when you ask them about their religion and their religious practices and what they do on a daily basis, they're so forthcoming and willing to share that with you. And some of the Wats and the temples that we have visited are just so gorgeous and just very peaceful, and in going to them and visiting them to get the picture or whatever for your Instagram account is one thing, but actually going there, Matt and I will often just go there just to sit and just come to a place of peace for ourselves, for no other reason, just to take time to have quiet time for ourselves. And I've really enjoyed that here. And it's just a new thing and a new fun thing to do for us.
Yeah, and the spirituality of the people is just amazing. And you see it on a daily basis with whether the offerings they put outside their homes or how they interact with you on a regular basis. It seems extremely calm. We had a chance we met monks from Buddhist temples before, just by happenstance. Sometimes it was as we're visiting the temple, and then they'll come out and talk to us and stuff like that. So yeah, it's been an amazing part of that journey, and something, if you're in those areas, you definitely want to take in and visit those, no matter what your belief system might be. And then it's just endless. I mean, there's so many things to see. Like I said, we haven't even visited the Philippines yet, which is extremely high on my list, or Laos, and all the many different islands within Indonesia and the area. And obviously we spend a lot of time in Vietnam and Thailand, but there's so many towns and cities we want to see within those in the future as well. So I don't know, I guess and just wrapping it up is the idea that there's a lot of locations around the world that you can experience different cultures and have a great travel experience. But for some reason, Southeast Asia has really stuck out to us as an unforgettable experience, because you can just do so many different things in a short period of time. And the people are amazing, and there's so much to like about them. So if you're thinking about Southeast Asia, I would say go do it. We've had friends over the last couple of years that have taken that journey, and their response has been overwhelmingly great idea. We loved it. So if you're in the same boat and you're considering a place to go, we think you might enjoy that. That is it for this episode. Thank you again for listening. We really appreciate it. Please be sure to subscribe to the podcast if you haven't already, no matter what application you use. This is the easiest way to get our podcast to come in your box each week without doing anything except going to your app. And this will help us get in front of new traveler listeners that might not be aware of our story. Thank you so much for all the reviews on Instagram, YouTube, and on the Apple Podcast. Apple Podcast is actually the best. So if you have time to put a review on there, we would really appreciate that. All that feedback helps us. And obviously we do this for nothing. So for the ability to have those reviews gets us in front of new people. And we do appreciate that. As always, I list out all the important links that we talked about in today's show notes. Basically, just go to the passportjoy.com, look under the podcast tab. It's got all the different episodes listed there with all the easy links. And you just click on and figure out how you might be able to apply that to your next travel journey, in this case to Southeast Asia. And if you want to get an email newsletter every week on Thursday. Sign up at passportjoy.com and you'll see our latest tips and tricks and the things that we're doing on the road and all of our media links and everything there as well. All right, we will be back next week for a new episode. Until then, safe travels wherever you might be heading next.